have a fence around your yard? Chances are you may have this problem, the gate scraping along the pavement or the grass. The culprit is the hinge itself. Over time, these tend to loosen, which causes the gate to fall out of alignment. You can see where the homeowner has already moved this hinge up from here, as well as cut off some of the bottom of these boards to keep that from happening. Well, today I'll show you a do-it-yourself project in which we'll remove the hinge and add a metal frame to this gate to hold it in place. Once we're finished, we will never have this problem again. I've got this sample to show you exactly what we're going to be doing today. Now remember, the hinges are our problem, so we're going to replace those with these two hinge bolts that go right through the post. This is the metal frame that I was talking about, and we attach the boards to the front of the frame. Once you get this all put together, you can slip this down over the bolts just like that. In order to get started, the first thing that we have to do is remove these hinges and then get our gate out of the way. All right, that's the last of our bolts. Now we can get this gate out of the way, get started on our post. These boards are pretty scarred up because of the hinge, so we want to take these off. Oh, well, okay, this wood is so old it's just coming right off. I'm also going to remove this board over here as well as the hardware, and then we can frame this area in. Now we're ready to put up our new boards. You'll need to leave space in between each board to give it room for expansion. Here's a good rule of thumb. If you'll use a nail, that'll be plenty of space. That's the last of the boards for this particular part. Now remember, before the gate sat flush with the fence. This time, however, it's going to sit back and be recessed, which is going to leave us with a big gap. So to fill that in, I'm just going to use this 1x6 and box this in, and then it will look much better. That takes care of boxing this in. Now it's time for the hinge bolts. What you'll need to do is measure the length of your board and find the center. And I've already measured and marked the center of our board. The manufacturer recommends that you measure up from the center of your board and down 17.5 inches. And this is where you're going to put your hinge bolts. All right, and here's 17.5 inches down. And now what you'll need to do is measure in an inch. But because we have an overhang, I'm going to measure in an additional inch to make sure that the bolt goes through the post. Now I can drill the holes. I'm using a 5/8 inch bit, and that'll match the size of our bolts. And you want to drill all the way through the post to the other side. All right, now it's time to put our bolts in. What you want to do is add the washer to the bolt and put this through the hole. And then on the other side, I'll put the washer on first, the lock washer, and then the nut. And then I'm going to tighten all this down, and I'll do the same thing with the bottom one. The frame assembly comes next, and this part is simple. Actually, the whole installation is pretty simple. The great thing about this kit is all of the hardware comes with it. So what you want to do here is take the eye bolt and a washer, and this goes through the second hole, which is this one. On the other side, your washer goes on, and this time it's not necessary to put a lock washer on because it has a self-locking nut that comes with it. What you do is snug this down, but be sure that you don't over-tighten it. And remember, just snug that down enough so that you can still move this eye bolt with your fingers, like that. take the piece that you've just assembled and put your eye bolts down over the bolts like that. Now you're going to have these two smaller pieces, which are the expansion tubes. So put one in the top and make sure that your holes are facing up and down. That goes in there, and this one goes on the bottom. Now the other side of the frame has two holes. Make sure that these are at the top, because this is where your striker bar goes into the latch. So put this on your tubes like this. Let me go back to the sample to show you what comes next. What you'll need to do is cut some 2x4s, one for the top and the bottom. This will give your frame some strength, but it's also going to give you something to tack your boards into. Now the way that you take this measurement is come back to your frame and scoot this over and give yourself about 1/2 inch between the frame and this piece of wood. And then this is the measurement that you need to take. Let me see what we've got. Okay, that's 38 inches. So I can go ahead and go cut my 2x4s. To attach your board, put this inside of the frame and then screw a lag screw into each end and also one on the top. I'm going to use this clamp to help hold this in place so that I can do just that. That takes care of our 2x4s. Now it's time to put some of the hardware on. We're going to start with the stop plate. So this piece goes here. The bolt goes through. Washer goes on next, and then the locking nut. Then you'll need to tighten this up. This piece is called the striker bar. This is going to go into the latch and hold your gate shut. And this is the latch that goes over your striker bar. Make sure when you put this on to line your striker bar right up in the center of this. That way if you have to make any adjustments, you've got some play in there. And then just screw this in. You'll need to cut a couple of 2x2s at least 24 inches long. And what these are used for is to give you something to nail your faceboards onto. You'll put one of them on the outside of your frame here, and the other one you'll attach to the inside of the frame. We've purchased some faceboards to match our fence. This is called the dog-ear style, but these boards need to be cut off in order to fit. I want to leave the dog-ear at the top, so what I'm going to do is turn this board over with the smooth side facing me, and I'm sitting this on top of a 2x4 that I've laid down. That's going to give me a couple of inches of clearance so that the gate can open and close without scraping. Sit your board on top of that. Be sure and leave about 1/2 inch gap here. And then take another board and set this on top of your fence. Now you can mark this board and cut it off, and that's the same line that you need at the bottom. The faceboards screw right into your 2x4s. Make sure that you leave that 1/2 inch gap in between your faceboard and your frame. I'm on my last board, so I'm just going to open up this gate to make it easier to put this piece on. All I have to do here is just line this up, the top and the bottom. And that's it, we're finished. You can see how it's all put together. Our frame, the 2x4s, and all of the boards attached. Now what's good about the Good Idea gate is if it does ever fall out of alignment, all you have to do is take a crescent wrench and loosen or tighten the nuts on the hinge bolts to put it back into proper alignment. Simple as that.